The mahogany conference table reflected the morning sunlight as I adjusted my chair at its head. Outside my floor-to-ceiling windows, Manhattan's skyline stretched endlessly, a testament to ambition and possibility. My assistant Thomas handed me a folder marked Confidential, Merger Proposal, Harrison Industries. "Your sister's here," he said quietly. "She doesn't know she's meeting with you." I nodded, remembering the last time I'd seen Victoria. It was 5 years ago, at our parents' lawyer's office, the day of the will reading. The day they gave her everything, declaring me unworthy of the Harrison family name. "Let them wait 10 minutes, I told Thomas. "Then send them in." I opened the folder, though I'd already memorized its contents. Harrison Industries, my family's company, was failing. Their stock had plummeted 60% in the last quarter. They needed this merger with Global Enterprises, my company, to survive. Victoria, now their CEO, had no idea she would be pitching to her disinherited sister. The irony wasn't lost on me. Growing up, I was always the family disappointment, while Victoria excelled at following her father's carefully planned path. Prestigious business school, strategic internships, groomed to take over the family company, I questioned everything. I wanted to build something of my own, not inherit a ready-made empire. "You're throwing away your birthright," Father would say, his voice heavy with disapproval. "All because of your ridiculous ideas about innovation and technology." The final straw came when I refused to join Harrison Industries after college. Instead, I took a job at a small tech startup, believing in their vision of revolutionizing supply chain management through artificial intelligence. "If you walk away now," Father had threatened, "don't expect anything from us. Ever." I walked anyway. Mother tried to play peacemaker in her ineffective way. "Darling, just apologize. Come work with your sister. The family needs to stay together." But I had seen something they hadn't. The future of business wasn't in their old-school conglomerate model. It was in adaptive technology and systems that could think and learn and evolve. The startup proved me right. Within 2 years, our supply chain AI was revolutionizing the industry. I used my bonus to invest in other promising tech companies, building a portfolio that grew exponentially. When our startup was acquired by a major tech firm, I took my shares and founded Global Enterprises. My parents never knew. They had cut off all contact, and I made sure my name was buried in corporate documents, hidden behind holding companies and subsidiaries. As far as they knew, I was probably still working at some insignificant tech company. Their last act of dismissal was the will. I hadn't expected much, but their words hurt more than the disinheritance. "To our daughter Victoria, we leave all our assets, including our controlling interest in Harrison Industries. She has proven herself worthy of the Harrison legacy. To our daughter Alexandra, who chose to abandon her family's values and responsibilities, we leave nothing. Her choices have demonstrated that she cannot be trusted with our family's heritage." Victoria had smirked throughout the reading, already planning her reign as CEO. She didn't even look at me as I left the lawyer's office. Now, 5 years later, Harrison Industries was on the brink of collapse. Victoria had run it exactly as our father would have, straight into obsolescence. They had missed the tech revolution, dismissed AI integration, ignored changing market dynamics. Everything I had warned them about had come to pass. And here they were, seeking a merger with Global Enterprises, unaware that they were about to beg for help from the daughter they'd disowned. My phone buzzed. A message from Thomas. "Ms. Harrison is getting impatient. She's mentioned her important position 3 times. I smiled. Victoria had always loved throwing her authority around. She was in for quite a surprise. "Send them in," I replied. I stood and turned to face the windows, my back to the door as it opened. I heard multiple sets of footsteps, Victoria's distinctive click of designer heels, probably her CFO's heavier tread, and likely their legal counsel. "I don't appreciate being kept waiting," Victoria's voice rang out, sharp with entitlement. "Do you know who I am?" I turned slowly, savoring the moment. "Hello, Victoria. Yes, I know exactly who you are." The color drained from her face. Her leather portfolio slipped from her fingers, scattering papers across the polished floor. Behind her, her executives exchanged confused glances. "Alexandra," she whispered, This is impossible." "You're not." "The CEO of Global Enterprises," I smiled. "The woman you're here to beg for a merger? Actually, I am." She struggled to recover, her perfectly manicured hands trembling as she smoothed her skirt. There must be some mistake. We're here to meet with the CEO. You are. I gestured to the chairs. Please sit. Let's discuss how badly Harrison Industries needs this merger to survive. Victoria remained standing, her face fluctuating between shock and fury. If this is some kind of revenge. Revenge? I picked up the merger proposal. No, Victoria, this is business. You're here because your company is failing. Your stock is in free fall, your market share is disappearing, and your technological infrastructure is a decade behind your competitors. Those are facts, not revenge. Her CFO, a silver-haired man who'd worked for our father, cleared his throat. Perhaps we should reschedule. That would be unwise, I replied calmly. Your quarterly report comes out next week. Once those numbers hit the market, your stock will drop another 30% minimum. You need this merger approved before that happens. Victoria finally sank into a chair, her composure cracking. When did you build a multi-billion-dollar company while you were busy playing CEO with Dad's empire? I was creating something real, something that actually works in today's economy. I sat down at the head of the table, spreading out their proposal. Now, shall we discuss terms? Or would you prefer to explain to your board why you let your sister's ridiculous ideas about innovation stop you from saving the company? The room fell silent except for the soft hum of air conditioning and the muffled sounds of the city below. Victoria stared at me, really seeing me for the first time in years, and I watched the realization dawn in her eyes. The sister she had mocked, the daughter our parents had disinherited, now held the fate of their precious family legacy in her hands. Victoria's lawyers huddled together, whispering urgently. Her CFO was frantically reviewing his notes, likely searching for any detail about Global Enterprises' ownership that they'd missed. But Victoria just sat there, staring at me like she was seeing a ghost. Let me guess, I said, breaking the tense silence. You're wondering how you missed this. How your perfect due diligence failed to reveal that your disgraced sister owns the company you're desperate to merge with. Our due diligence was thorough, her lawyer protested weakly. Global Enterprises is owned by a series of holding companies. Yes, I smiled. I learned about corporate structuring while you were all busy dismissing me. Funny how life works out, isn't it, Victoria? She finally found her voice. If you think you can use this situation to humiliate us. Humiliate you? I opened her proposal. No, Victoria. Unlike our parents, I understand the difference between personal feelings and good business. Let's review your offer. I spent the next 20 minutes dissecting their proposal point by point, highlighting its flaws and oversights. Victoria's face grew increasingly pale as I demonstrated exactly how much trouble Harrison Industries was really in. Your technology infrastructure is obsolete, I concluded. Your market strategy is straight out of 2010, and your attempts to integrate AI have been, well, let's be diplomatic and call them misguided. We've maintained the traditional Harrison approach, Victoria defended weakly. The traditional approach is exactly why you're failing. The world changed, Victoria. I tried to tell Dad that years ago, but he wouldn't listen. Just like he wouldn't listen about cryptocurrency, digital transformation, or automated supply chain management. Her CFO leaned forward. With all due respect, Ms. Harrison. Ms. Blake, I corrected him. I stopped using the Harrison name when they disinherited me. Ms. Blake, he amended. What exactly are you proposing? I pulled out a different folder, my counter-proposal. Global Enterprises will acquire Harrison Industries, but not as a merger of equals. We'll purchase controlling interests at current market value. Victoria's face flushed with anger. Current value? Our stock is artificially depressed. This is theft. No, it's reality. Your company is worth exactly what the market says it's worth. The fact that you've driven that value into the ground isn't my problem. Father would never have allowed this, she whispered. Father isn't here. He's gone, Victoria, along with his outdated business philosophy. The question is, are you ready to accept that? The room fell silent again as my proposal was distributed. I watched Victoria's face as she read the terms. Terms that would essentially demote her from CEO to a division head, reporting to me. This is revenge, she said finally, her voice breaking. For the will, for everything they did to you. I leaned back in my chair. Would you like to know what real revenge would look like? I could walk away right now, let Harrison Industries crumble. Watch while everything father built turns to dust because his chosen successor couldn't adapt to modern business realities. Her lawyers shifted uncomfortably. They knew I was right. But that's not what this is. I continued. This is business. Pure and simple. I'm offering to save the company, modernize it, make it relevant again. Yes, you'll lose control. Yes, you'll have to answer to me, but the Harrison legacy will survive. Victoria's CFO was nodding slowly, already seeing the wisdom in my offer. Her lawyers had stopped whispering, their expressions resigned. But Victoria was still struggling. Why didn't you tell us? She asked suddenly. All these years, building this company, why keep it secret? I thought about all the family dinners where they'd mocked my career choices, the snippy comments about my little tech job, the constant comparisons to Victoria's corporate success. Would you have believed me? I asked quietly. Would any of you have taken me seriously? Or would you have tried to interfere, to control what I was building, to make it fit your outdated vision of what a business should be? She had no answer for that. The offer expires at the end of the day, I said, standing up. I suggest you discuss it with your board immediately. Though given your stock price and market position, I doubt they'll need much convincing. As they filed out of my office, Victoria lingered behind. She looked smaller somehow, less certain than I'd ever seen her. Alex, she said softly, using my childhood nickname for the first time in years. I'm sorry for everything. I know. I met her eyes. But this isn't about apologies, Vic. It's about the future. Are you ready to learn how business works in the 21st century? A ghost of a smile touched her lips. Do I have a choice? There are always choices. I made mine 5 years ago. Now it's your turn. After they left, I stood by my window, watching the city stretch out below. Thomas brought me coffee and a stack of messages, including one from our mother. Victoria called her, he said. Apparently, there's quite a commotion at the Harrison estate. I could imagine. Mother was probably having vapors on her fainting couch while father's portrait looked down in disapproval. By evening, Harrison Industries board had approved my offer. Victoria called personally to deliver the news, her voice a mixture of resignation and relief. The papers will announce it tomorrow, she said. Everyone will know. Yes, I agreed. Everyone will know that the daughter they disinherited now owns the company they thought she wasn't worthy to run. The next morning, as the business world exploded with news of the acquisition, I received a letter from my mother. Inside was a newspaper clipping about global enterprises from 3 years ago, when we first become a major player in the tech world. A note in her elegant handwriting read, I kept this, never knowing it was you. Always wondered about the mysterious CEO who built something so impressive. Should have known, you always did see things differently than we did. I pinned the clipping to my office wall, right next to the copy of their will that had declared me unworthy of the Harrison legacy. Together, they told a story, not of revenge, but of vindication. 1 month later, I stood in the Harrison Industries lobby, soon to be renamed Global Tech Center, watching their outdated logo being removed. Victoria stood beside me, tablet in hand, reviewing the modernization plans I'd drafted. You're going to change everything, aren't you? She asked. No, I corrected her. We're going to change everything, together. If you're willing to learn. She nodded slowly. I am. I should have been learning from you years ago. I smiled. Better late than never, sis. That evening, I added another frame to my office wall. The first stock certificate from the newly reorganized company issued jointly to Alexander Blake and Victoria Harrison. Not as a gift from our parents, not as an inheritance, but as something we built together. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying what others built. It's about building something better yourself, something so undeniably successful that they have no choice but to acknowledge their mistake. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you get to rebuild not just a company, but a family in the process. Mother still hasn't quite recovered from the shock. Father's portrait still glares down in perpetual disapproval. But Victoria and I are learning to be sisters again, not rivals. We're learning to combine her traditional business insights with my technological innovation. We're learning that sometimes the best legacy isn't the one you inherit, but the one you build yourself. As for me, I keep their will framed on my wall to remind me of an important truth. Sometimes being disinherited is the best inheritance of all. It forces you to build your own empire, one that no one can take away because you earned every piece of it yourself.